Hey guys, how are you? So thank you for waiting. We are just gonna start off. We're just gonna begin. So basically, the objective of today's session is I would try to do past examination questions with you people through the CB platform of the ACCA, and we'll see that what best we could do from that. So I will just begin. I hope that you all know how to access the ACCA CB practice platform. For those of you who don't know, all that you have to do is that you have to just go on to the ACCA website. And once you are onto the ACCA website, all that you have to do is that you have to go into this past exam sessions and click on the login to practice platform. So you would log in with your ACCA credentials. You would log in with your ACCA credentials. And once you have logged in with their ACCA credentials, all that you have to do is that you have to click on the browse available examination. Click on this APM. There is no variant for the APM as such. Just click on the pass exam, let's say. So when you click on the pass examination, there are different pass examination papers that are existing. So what you could possibly do is that you could just assign these papers to yourself. So when you're going to assign these papers to yourself, so what would happen is that you would click on view assignments. These papers would be available under the assignment section for you. So what I'll just try to do is that I'll try to go in the reverse order, and I would try to do the March, June 2020-25 examination with you people. And we'll try to see that what is there in the March, June 2020-25 examination. And we would try to actually attempt this specific paper. What I'll do is that I won't be attempting the answer on the ACCA CB practice platform because I want to share the answer with you people. So otherwise, for you people, what I would recommend you is that you should try to do the answer on the ACCA CB practice platform so that you are updated. You are actually you know that how to handle the CB practice platform. So that's what I would suggest. So the paper that I've opened up is the March June 2020-25 examination paper. I'll try going through this specific examination. As you know, that there are basically two sections to the examination. There is this section A and then there is this section B. So section A is of 50 marks, whereas section B is of 25 marks each, two questions. So that's what it is. Right? Okay. So now the first one of them is section A. I'm just going to begin the examination. Okay, so when we talk about this section A, So section A, this is basically one of the past examination question. And as you could see that this is how the paper appears. It says the following exhibits available on the left-hand side of the screen provide the information relevant to the question. Provide the information relevant to the question. So now if I could just go on to the requirement. So let's just try to go about it. That what exactly is the requirements to this question? It says it is now 1st of September X5. Write a report to the CEO. Write a report to the CEO of sole seat to respond to his instruction for work on the following areas: performance reporting 14 marks, benchmarking 14 marks, standards 12 marks. The other day I was having a session with you people online. So I think somebody amongst you actually did ask a question that how would we know that, I mean, like it's difficult to catch up the requirement of the question. So I said one thing. I said that look, the examination requirements are at times written in the question. So you see, the examiner has not given any requirement here. The requirement is actually written in the question. The requirement is actually written in the question. So we'll read through the question and we'll see what is the requirement. First of all, it's a company information, the background to the company. So what I want you people to do is that just read through this background. Just read through this background so that we could just start discussing. Can you just read through the background? Yeah, just read through the background, please. Okay, let's see. So what does it say? It says Soul Seats Company. What does it say? It says Soul Seat Hotels is a large listed chain of hotels in the cities of D-Land. So it's a hotel chain. Its stated mission is to become D-Land's best budget hotel chain. Just remember, what is their objective? They want to be the best budget hotel chain. They don't want to be amongst the top tier hotel. They want to be in the budget hotel chain. Soulseed plans to achieve this by providing good quality. What do they want to provide? They want to provide good quality, affordable hotel rooms for our customers to help them live happily and work well, and by providing suitable development opportunities for staff. So they've got multiple aims and multiple goals and objectives through which they want to achieve these objectives. Now, what next is it? It says Soul Seats hotels are in the cities of Dayland and they cater for tourists throughout the whole week and business travels during the working week. At the operational level, each hotel has a budget prepared in the finance department, and then the hotel manager is judged on their performance compared to this budget. So what happens is that at operational level, each hotel has budget prepared in the finance department. So budget is being prepared by finance department, and then the hotel manager is judged on their performance compared to this budget. Now, what I'll just do is that I'll simultaneously go about telling you stuff, letting you know the things so that you know that, okay, how to handle such type of a question, right? Okay, let's see. So this is a word processing document that I've actually opened up. Just remember one thing, which is basically when you talk about the organization's mission. So what actually happens with respect to the mission? So the mission defines how you will achieve your vision, so it defines how you will achieve your vision. Now see over here, um, it actually wants to be the best budget hotel. What else does it want to do? Good quality hotel rooms, affordable rooms. Then what else is there? Customers live happily. Then at the same time, suitable development opportunities for staff. Right? Development opportunities for staff. Plus what else is there? And then okay, now with respect to the budget set by the finance department, operational level performance compared with the budget. So technically it's a top-down budgeting approach. It's a top-down budgeting approach. Solseed's board is under pressure from its institutional investors. Okay. Board under pressure from institutional investors. The investors feel there has been a little improvement in returns compared to the sector, and they're complaining that the board seems to lack ideas and motivation to change. Okay. Returns are low, lacking ideas. The board consists mostly of the 5 original directors of business who founded 15 years ago. In total, now there are 7 directors who each have been in post for average 11 years. Directors are complacent and reluctant to change. Yeah, I'd be sharing this file on the WhatsApp group, don't worry. Now what next is there? It says that there are 7 directors who have been in management. Directors take the usual function roles such as finance, marketing, property management, HR. Chair of the board is also the CEO. Okay. So basically, lack of COCG compliance. As chairman, board of director is also the CEO. Now, what else is there? Performance reporting is the next thing. So when we talk about the performance reporting alongside the appendix 1 is what you have to go through. Performance reporting alongside the appendix 1 is what you have to go through. So I'll just open up both of them side by side. Yeah, just go through it and let me know what do you think about it. This is the exhibit 2, and then there is this appendix 1. Yeah, I have just given you time to read through it. I'm not saying anything. Okay, let's see. Now, so yes, now let's see. It says that CEO is aware of the criticism of the company's performance and has decided that before making any tactical or operational changes, Solseed's board needs to look at its decision-making information. He has provided you with an example of Solseed's current performance report. So what happens is that he has actually provided you with the information of the current performance report. In Appendix 1, he has asked you to assess if the current performance report provides a suitable base from which the board can judge the performance of Solseed. He does not want you to suggest how the report may be redesigned, but to focus on evaluation of the current report. If new performance indicators are needed, then a justification for why they are the KPIs, they, they are KPIs must be given. Then a justification for why they are KPI must be given. Now let's just see. Basically, a very important part of this question is that um, this is something that I want you people to understand, because a lot of students, they make a mistake over here. They make a mistake over here. It says CEO has asked you to assess if the current performance report provides a suitable base from which the board can judge the performance of Solseed. He does not want you to suggest how the report may be redesigned, but to focus on an evaluation of the current report. If the new performance indicators are needed, then a justification for why they are. Now see, appendix number one. Appendix number one, he's giving you performance report for the quarter ended 30th September, 31st December, 31st March, 30th June. 2005 full year, previous year, so and so, so and so. Is given you revenue, cost of sales, GP, staff costs, other operating costs, operating profit, finance costs, profit before tax. Then is given you EPS, share price, capital employed, ROC. Now see, just remember one thing. When the examiner says, evaluate the current performance report, evaluate the current performance report. So when he says evaluate the current performance report, now when he says evaluate the current performance report, the word evaluate actually means, when he says evaluate, so this actually means discuss. This is to talk about both aspects. Now, when he says evaluate the current performance report, so usually what happens is that we generally use a framework which is called PALE, which is purpose, audience, information, and layout. So what we do is that we usually use this PALE. Now, what is this concept of PALE all about? This is basically, we actually say that if we talk about the purpose, so what is the objective of the report? And is it aligned to the mission of the organization or not? Plus, audience to which it is addressed to, does it cover the right information for the audience? Then, is it financial, non-financial, comprehensive, multidimensional? That is what it is actually referred. And then layout is about presentation in the form of graphs, charts, dashboards, etc. So if the examiner is asking you this specific question that could evaluate the report, so you would actually compare the report against the mission, objective, comment on the information being reported, and then if additional KPIs are being suggested, then what KPIs are applicable. right? All good. Now, can you just go through this report and see what is it covering or what is it not covering? Yeah, look at this report and see what do you think it is. Okay, now let's see. If I could just go about commenting on this specific report, I would just list down some pointers to you. So I would say, first of all, the report is mainly financial in nature and does not cover the goals mentioned in the mission state. So it does not cover the goals which are mentioned in the mission state, right? So that's one thing, which is it does not cover the things which are mentioned in the mission state. The mission talks about it to be the budget hotel, providing quality to the customers. Plus, what else is there? And providing development opportunities for the staff. Additionally, the goals of the organization include returns to the shareholders. Furthermore, the report, the report is also apparently not aligned to the performance evaluation applicable in the organization. Is not aligned to the performance evaluation applicable in the organization, which is to compare the performance with the budget. So the KPIs of EPS, share price, and and return on capital employed do cover the shareholder returns to an extent, but these KPIs could have been improved by the introduction of the advanced versions like economic value added, which encompass both the cash flows element and also encompass value creation. The KPIs are not measuring or comparing the prices charged with the prices applicable for the competitors so that an evaluation could be made if the hotel is budget friendly. No non-financial indicators available like customer satisfaction survey or the staff satisfaction report to provide any evaluation if the objectives relating to customer satisfaction and staff development are being met or not. Are being met or not. The budgets are not referred to in the report, nor is there any variance analysis incorporated. The quarterly results for the current period are shown, but without any comparative information. Such results are not useful. The operating cost breakdowns are not provided. The report lacks any commentary to explain the figures in detail and also lacks presentation, as only figures are provided in the report. So this is what you're gonna do. This is how you're gonna write down about it. This is what you're gonna do. This is how you're gonna write down about it. Let me know if this is okay for you people. I'm gonna share the answers with you people at the end of the session, but let me know if you get it, what we are trying to say. Okay, the next part is about the benchmarking. So for the benchmarking, he is referring to exhibit number 2, which is appendix 2. Now, can you just go through it? Yeah, can you just go through it, please? Yeah, can you answer this question, please? Can you answer this question? Can you people answer this question? Any rough plan, anything that you can suggest for this question? Okay, okay. And what do you think is the most appropriate benchmark organization? Okay, let's just see. In a recent meeting with the board, the institutional investors made an issue of the comparative performance of sole seed to the market sector. Many of the executive directors felt this was unfair, but they were unable to articulate in detail their reasons. Therefore, CEO believes that a benchmarking exercise is needed. CEO has provided information on Soul Street and a number of other hotel chains in Appendix 2, and has asked you to evaluate the various types of benchmarking and to recommend the method of benchmarking which Soul Seed should use, and then to evaluate suitability of the benchmark competitors. Now you see, where do the students lose mark? They lose mark here. If I just identify from this specific scenario, what are the questions requirement? The examiner is actually asking you to do three things. Number one, he is asking you to evaluate the various types of benchmarking. Then you have to recommend the method to be used. Then you have to evaluate the suitability of benchmarking comparators. Just remember, if you split the questions requirement into three, if you split the questions requirement into three, then it becomes easier for you to answer. How many marks is this requirement for? This requirement is for 14 marks. And when you actually break down the question requirement, it becomes easy to answer. Antonio and Richard have a different suggestion. I'll just see. Okay, now let's see. So basically it says benchmarking comparators. Soul Seed has 4 divisions based on the areas where hotels are located in D-land. The size and mix of hotels are similar across the divisions. They are managed in similar ways according to the board's instructions. Alpha Hotels is the largest listed chain hotel in D-land. It's part of an international group of hotels. It focuses on city center locations and aimed at so and so, so and so, so and so, so and so. Now see, if I try to talk about it, so the different types of benchmarking methods that can be used include the following: internal benchmarking, comparison of the performance with the within the organization between the departments, branches, hotels, etc. External benchmarking, comparison of the performance with the competitors and the market players. Functional benchmarking, comparison of the performance of the different functions within the organization with the similar functions outside the organization. Usually difficult to gather functional information. Therefore, usually difficult to gather the functional information. Therefore, the other options available are either the internal or external benchmarking. So usually difficult to gather functional information. Therefore, the other options available are other internal and external benchmarking. However, even if the internal benchmarking is used, then all the hotels are based on different locations, areas, and have different buildings. Therefore, the comparison may not be appropriate. A better and appropriate approach will be to use the external benchmarking. Why? Because the other competitors will also have similar type of diversity that Soul Seat has, and that would lead to a better comparison. For the external benchmarking, the evaluation of the comparators is as under. So when you do the comparators evaluation, I've just set the base. I'm giving you 5 more minutes. Just look at it and see whom do you think is the best comparator. Okay, now let's see. Alpha is the largest listed hotel chain in D-Land. It's a listed hotel chain in D-Land, and it's part of an international group of hotel. It focuses on city center locations and is aimed at business and leisure customers. It has large marketing department and charges a small premium for the market average due to its brand recognition. Beta Spas is a group of hotels located to health and well-being. Its hotels are usually based in countryside locations and offer a range of exercise classes, etc. Comet Hotels is a small chain, old hotels all over D-Land, which offer minimal service. Epsilon is a chain of a small hotels situated in prime city location and offers high standards. So your best comparator is Alpha Hotels. Your best comparator is Alpha Hotels. So you would actually talk about this Alpha, you talk about Beta, you talk about Comet, you talk about Upsilon. You talk a bit about it. Listed, international, market rate across the country. Many factors are there. For the beta, a specialized type of hotels operating in a certain niche. For the Comet hotels, so what does Comet hotels do? Very low service, budget hotel, but not providing good quality, high-end, premium locations, and premium customers. Based on above, Alpha is the best comparator and the performance benchmarking should be done with Alpha. So you should benchmark the performance with Alpha. You should benchmark the performance with Alpha. You should benchmark the performance with Alpha. All good here? Let's move on. The last requirement of the question, the standards. Okay, what is he asking for? Standards. It's talking about building block model. Right? He's talking about building block model. He's talking about his standards. Now give it a try. Give it a try. These are the two relevant parts that you have to read through. Give it a try. Yeah, what's the report, please? What's the report? Okay, Antonio has an answer. Now let me just try to go about it. Okay, CEO has heard rumors from within the financial markets that the institutional investors may seek changes, may seek changes to the board of Solseed. In order to avoid this, he feels that better motivation for the board may be the solution. He is familiar with the building block model and the importance which it places on standards within the performance management. He has prepared a set of standards by which board performance could be judged in Appendix 3. Before putting these first to the board and then to main shareholders, he wants you to provide an assessment of the standards suggested. So basically, what is he asking you to do? He wants you to provide an assessment of the standards suggested. What does he want to do? He wants you to provide an assessment of the standards which have been suggested. Now, the standard share price, the standard is one of them is share price. Target is 2.1. The current for the sole seat is 2.0. Market information is not available. The occupancy, what actually happens is that for the occupancy, 78% is the target. Sole seat current is 78%. Market average is also 78%. ADR 150, 109, ADR for alpha is 150. Now what next is there? It says online review rating 4.3, market average 4.1. Notes is occupancy is the number of occupied rooms divided by number of available rooms. What is occupancy? Number of occupied rooms divided by number of available rooms. ADR is the average daily revenue earned from each occupied room. Online revenue review rating is 0 to 5, 5 being the best rating. Other information, D-Land's economy has been growing at 7% per year for the last 5 years, and this is expected to continue. What is the examiner expecting us to do? He wants you to provide an assessment of each of the standards suggested as per the building block model. The standards for the performance measurement are ownership, achievability, and motivation. So these are the three standards. Yeah, equity, not the motivation. Yeah, fairness, equity. Right? Equity. So ownership, achievability, and equity. Now, so the ownership is that the employees should accept the performance measurement method used, that is, should actually take ownership of the accomplishment of the performance target. Achievability is that the target set should be realistic, that is, it should not be over optimistic. Thirdly is equity, refers to the fairness, which would mean that while setting the target, the principle of fairness to be followed instead of the principle of equality. That is, the different segments be set the different targets considering the circumstances. Now, so what do we need to do? We need to talk about these. Share price target 2.1, 2.0. Now, use of share price is controllable to an extent, but mainly is uncontrollable as many factors determine the share price. Number two is that occupancy is a very important factor to consider in the hotel industry, and the target set is as per the market. Therefore, the target appears to be an achievable one. However, at times when the targets set are too easy to achieve, So occupancy is an important factor to consider, right? Occupancy is an important factor to consider. It's very, very important to consider the occupancy. It's very, 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 very important to consider the occupancy. Now, what next is there? Um, but see, setting 78%, market average 78%, so what? We want to be better than the market. So if the target set is at times lower, then that actually doesn't actually make sense. Now, the use of average daily revenue is also appropriate and is reflecting the customer interest in the hotel, but the target setting the target to be compared with alpha is unrealistic because alpha is an international chain. Alpha is an international chain and it charges a certain premium. So alpha is an international chain and it charges a certain premium. Therefore, the target may be adjusted a bit to reflect that Soul Seat cannot charge the same as Alpha does. Can you think of something else about this? Yeah, can you think of something else about this? Yeah, can you think of something else on this, please? Okay, next. Online review rating 4.3, average 4.1, sole state. And varied between 3.7 and 4.7. Market average is also 4.1. Okay, review is waiting. Okay. The review rating is a good measure, and the target should also be above the market, which is appropriate. Now, overall, the measures are some subjective in nature, like the review, as every customer has a different way of evaluating the things. As every customer has a different way of evaluating the things. Right? All good here? Okay, so that's it about this specific question, which actually was majorly the application of building block model, which was actually the application of building block model. Yeah, it should be mentioned that what reviews are based on. Okay. Anything else that you people could add up on this one? Okay, now I will take a short break of 10 minutes and then we will resume in 10 minutes time. Okay, so welcome back. Yes, there is a question that if the long question does not ask us, if the long question does not ask us that whether you need to explain the element or not, and if it does not explain, then you have to explain. Okay, let's just go on to question number 3. Question number 3. In fact, question number 2. Yeah, question number 2. So let's just come on to question number 2. Requirement is respond to the CEO of Greasy's instruction for work on the following areas: design cost allocation, introduction of activity-based management. Now, let's just read through this company information, then we start discussing further. Yeah, just read through it so that we could just move forward. Okay, it says Gracie Packaging manufactures two types of packaging containers for food distribution. Plastic and other non-plastic. Gracie supplies food manufacturers with standard design containers, but also manufactures containers for specific client orders, which depends on the type of food being carried. The plastic containers market is well established with all manufacturers producing similar size and types of products. Then what else is there? The other containers market is newer with greater possibilities for different designs for stacking and carrying purposes. The other containers. The other containers market has arisen as a plastic is less seen as less attractive product due to difficulties in recycling. And clients often choose Gracie as a design department has a strong reputation for blending the client's existing brand and marketing into packaging, which it designs for them. Right? Now what next is there? The next situation is the next situation is Gracie is a high volume producer. It's a high volume producer selling. Since the selling price of food containers must be kept low in order to satisfy the needs of food manufacturers, the chief executive wants to reinforce the strategy of cost leadership at Gracie, and he wants to use activity-based management to allocate costs more accurately and to identify non-value adding activities. Now, what's the requirement of the question? Design cost allocation. Now, what is this design cost allocation? Can you just read through it? Yeah, we are going to explain when it is required by the examiner, plus at the same time, if a technique is not explained, then also we will explain it a bit. If the technique is not explained, we'll also explain it a bit. Okay, so just read through this area. Yeah, just read through this so that we could discuss further.
Okay. It says the first department to be considered in the ABM project is the packaging design department. Is the packaging design department, as it has been believed for some time that the current method of cost allocation is giving unrealistic results for the two product types, plastic and other. The chief financial officer absorbs the cost of design into the product cost on a per unit basis. So how do they actually absorb the cost? On a per unit basis. Now what next is there? The next situation is this has involved simply allocating the total departmental cost based on total number of units produced. The CFO suspects that an activity-based approach will yield different results. The CFO suspects that the activity-based costing will yield different results. After a lengthy process of interviewing the finance design department staff, a more detailed view of the work of the design department has been gathered along with its existing cost data. See the appendix. Now, as an initial step, the CEO would like to calculate and compare the overhead cost per unit allocated to both types of product from the design department using current costing method and activity-based costing approach, and to analyze the result. For simplicity in this exercise and to highlight difference between two types, he has told you to assume that Gracie only produces one sort of product for each of plastic and other. So basically, simple, you have to do the calculation using the current costing and you have to do the calculation using activity-based costing. Now, let's talk about Appendix 1. Let's talk about Appendix 1. What I could possibly do is that okay. So what are we gonna do? It says existing cost data, this, and this. Intellectual property protection fee. There are 6,500 orders for plastic containers, each having an average of 400,000 units. There are 1,600 orders for other containers, each having an average of 187,500 units. Activity-based costing data handling inquiries, so and so, so and so, so and so, so and so. The total departmental cost is this. Now, so what actually happens is that if I apply the current method of costing, so total number of units is basically gonna be what? Plastic and other containers. So plastic container is basically 6,500 times 400,000. And the other containers are 1,600 times 187,500. So total units that are to be produced are this much. The total units that are to be produced are 2.9 million. Are 2.9 million. Now, cost per unit will be, this is 3,875,000, right? Divided by 2.9 million. So if I try to so 0.0 0.0013. Now, if I try to increase one more decimal, let's say make it 5. So this is what it is. Now, what is he asking us to do? We would like to calculate and compare the overhead cost per unit allocated to both types of product from the design department using the current method of costing. So I have to compare where is it mentioned per thousand? Okay, it says at Greasy the product costs are discussed in dollars and cents per thousand units. Okay, so per thousand unit is gonna be this multiplied by 1,000 multiplied by 100. So this is gonna be multiplied by 1,000. So this is cost per 1,000 units. This is the cost per 1,000 units. So what is it? It's the cost per 1,000 unit. This is in dollar. This is also in dollar. Now, activity based costing method. So if I try to apply the activity based costing method, these are the details: handling inquiries, initial design, material testing, final redesign, intellectual property protection, so and so, so and so. It says total departmental cost except intellectual property protection fees. C note 2 is to be allocated using staff time as this drives the rest of the cost in the department. Intellectual property protection only applies to each order of the other container as plastic orders are standard. It must contain both the staff time and the associated fee. Inquiries are in the same proportion as orders for plastic and other containers. Handling inquiries and preparing quotes take time. All orders proceed to final design as Greasy manages the process of initial design, material testing, so and so, so and so, so and so. Now, so let's just try to calculate the cost under the activity based costing. Okay, so what is it? Handling inquiries is 30% of the staff time. So handling inquiries is 30% of staff time. So 30% times this. So handling inquiries and preparing quotes for potential 30% of the staff time. Now, what is existing costing data? 3060, staff training 63. Then what happens is that allocated overheads utility is this much. Allocated overheads depreciation this much. Intellectual property protection fee is this much. Now, how exactly are we gonna do this allocation? So let's just try to understand this thing. So what do we have to do? We have to actually understand that, okay, how do we allocate these costs to the different activities? Wages is there, staff training is there, allocated overheads is there. So we need to see what cost is allocated where. Initial design of packaging relates to $8,100. So this is again taking 30% of staff time. This is taking 10% of the staff time. This is taking 25% of the staff time. This is taking 5% of the staff time. So what do we need to do? We need to see that, okay, wages and the staff training. Wages and the staff training could be combined and allocated together. Initial design and packaging is, again, it's the same thing. Material testing and prototype preparation is 10% multiplied by 10% multiplied by this plus this, right? Okay. Then final redesign, 25% multiplied by and plus, in addition to this, intellectual property protection, staff time, 5% multiplied by this plus this. Okay, there is number one thing which is mentioned in here. Total department costs except intellectual property protection fee, see note 2, is to be allocated using staff time as this drives the rest of the costs in the department. So that means since we are using just wages and staff training, we had to use all of this. We had to use all of this except for intellectual property protection fees. So the formula is going to change here. It is actually going to be 30% multiplied by 30% multiplied by the sum of this all. So if I try to log these cells by putting dollar in here, I'm just copying the formula and then I'm going to change the percentage. So this is 30%, this is 30%, and this one is 10%. This one is 10%. This one is 25%. And this one is 5%. This one is 5%. So the fee for the intellectual property is also going to be added up, which is going to be 221. Now, if we add up all of these, this turns out to be 3875. This turns out to be 3875. So if I try to talk about plastic, 6500 orders are here, 1600 orders are here. Now, it relates to 13,000 inquiry or quotes per year. Relates to 13,000 inquiries or quotes per year. Inquiries are in the same proportion as orders for plastic and other containers. This relates to 13,000 inquiries or quotation per year. So you give a 13,000 inquiries or quotation per year. So that means this is gonna be bracket open this. Okay. I'll just move it a bit. Okay. So we need to allocate it to this thing. 13,000 inquiries are there. The sum of these is basically 6,500 orders, 1,600 orders, 8,100 orders. So the proportion is this over this. Proportion is this over this. So it is actually going to be this into 13 equals to this into this much equals to this multiplied by this much. Now initial design and packaging relates to 8,100 orders in the year. material testing and prototype done once an order is received. Done once an order is received. So how many orders are there? Done once an order is received. Anything mentioned related to it? The process of initial design material testing and prototype and final design are more complex for the other containers and so take 50% longer for each order compared to plastic. So they take 50% more time as compared to plastic. So that means it cannot go about like this. It cannot go about like this. It cannot be like this. There has to be a bit difference in it. Because it's taking more time. The process of initial design, material testing and final design are more complex for other containers and say take 50% longer for each order compared to plastic. So what do we have to do here? We could just treat it like this. We could just treat it like this. If I just do the working over here, I could do plastic orders is 6,500. Other orders is 1,600 multiply 1.5 because they are taking more time. So you could think of it like this, 8,900, which actually means this is this proportion, which actually means this is this proportion. So if you want to do it this way, this is going to be this multiplied by this. This is going to be this multiplied with this. Same goes here also. This multiplied with this. This multiplied with this. Final redesign is also the same multiplied with this multiplied with this. Right? This is final redesign. Now what next do we have to do? Intellectual property protection only applies to other orders. So the total cost that is to be allocated here onto the plastic is this and this and this. Okay. Cost per order, cost per 1,000 units is gonna be this multiply 1,000 divided by this many units and then this whole Okay, this multiplied by 1000 divided by this many units. It's cost per unit. This is cost per 1000 unit. So this is what we have. Now, what is the requirement of the question? The requirement of the question is okay. So this is what you have got. You have got $4.2, $1.055. You were thinking that both have got same cost, but it's not the case. Yeah, let me know if there is any question that you people have on this. Yeah, if there is any question, let me know, please. Okay, now the last requirement of this question is introduction of ABM. So the introduction of ABM is what we need to talk about. Okay, once the comparison and analysis of using ABC for the design department is complete, the CEO wants you to use your analysis to assess the impact of the introduction of ABM on the design department. The CEO is especially interested on is how this project may impact on the activities and quality of this department's work. Is especially interested in how this project may impact on the activities and quality of this department's work. So if I could just talk about the question 3, part B. Now what is it that we have to do? Just try understanding this. We need to decide how exactly are we going to create an answer to this. We need to decide how exactly are we going to create an answer to this specific question. So what you need to do is that you need to actually first of all create a background about the ABM. Discuss about the ABM, the activity based management. What ABM is, how it is applied to an organization, what are the key steps like identification of value adding and non-value adding activities. So you have to talk about what ABM is, how it works, then what are the key steps, identification of value adding, non-value adding activities, etc. etc. And then what happens is that the activity based cost application identifies that other containers have certain activities that drive a significant cost. Like for example, if you look at this scenario, so you could actually see this is the sum of these two. This is this divided by this. Intellectual property protection constitutes 32% of the total cost allocated to other containers. Right? All good here? Yeah, all good. Yeah, let me know, all good. Okay, so what we are gonna do is that we're gonna keep it till here because this is how you will apply, this is how you will approach. So what happens is that this actually helps you identify which activities need to be stopped slash discontinued. This is what it does, right? Okay. So we have done question number 1, question number 3 of the latest exam paper. Now I hope that you all enjoyed this session of today, and then it was an insightful session as to how to handle the examination answers. So what I'll do is that I will just keep it till here, and I'll continue with you people day after tomorrow, and then we will try doing one more exam paper, right? Yeah, Debbie, please go ahead. Okay, Debbie, I'll just share one of the report formats in the next class, inshallah. The next class, I'll start off with a report format on the question number 1. Okay, guys. So thank you all. Thank you for your time. Thank you for being here in the session.